Okay. Thank you guys all for joining us. We're going to start soon. I'm just waiting for a few more folks to come in and we will get started. See, I can play. Good morning. See more folks coming in.
Good morning. Were you a little late coming in?
Yeah, we are a little bit. My apologies. I'm going to play.
No problem. I just didn't know if I was late or.
No, you're good. You're good. Welcome and
Yes,
thank you
no
for
problem.
joining us. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Loretta.
Hi, Loretta. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. You know, I don't know if everybody,
Good morning.
I missed the first couple of meetings and I really hate that. So I don't know if you're gonna have a redo or anything.
Oh, yes.
Well, we have all the, oh, go ahead, Dr.
Yeah.
Woodley. Sorry.
Yeah, all the videos are up on our YouTube page. So I'll send out an email, like I guess like an ending email, and include the videos on the YouTube.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, because we started a little late, I'm thinking that if anybody were going to join us, they would have already been in the waiting room, so we don't want to delay your guys' time. My name is Shalon Garcia, and I am a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. And the group that you're meeting with today, we are the Economic Empowerment Committee. And we've been putting on a series for the last 6 weeks on financial and economic empowerment. And so by show of hands, how many people have actually participated in some of the previous and or all of the previous week sessions? And you can just click your button at the bottom. It'll show me your hands if you guys have been. Okay, Alverdette, I see you. It looks like you've been in a few of the others. So thank you for coming back and staying with us. Nicole, I see your hand. Thank you also for attending and staying with us until today's last session. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I apologize. I'm having technical issues with being on screen. So hopefully I'll get it worked out while Vassiena does her presentation. But I wanted to start first by, we have one more person joining us. I wanted to start, Loretta, did you have a question for me? Are you okay?
Oh, I just forgot to put my hand down. Let me do that.
Oh, okay, no, okay, you're good. Welcome for the people that have just joined us. Thank you guys for attending. And I'm going to start with our vision statement. Our vision and mission is to advocate on behalf of Black women and girls to promote leadership development and gender equity in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment. Our purpose is to provide financial literacy courses to the banked and underbanked individuals. As I mentioned, as you guys were coming in on the call, this has been a 6-week series hosted by the Economic Empowerment Committee, which is a committee formed under the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Los Angeles chapter. You guys can see that we've had 6 weeks of financial empowerment courses, and we have a YouTube link where you can go back and look at the videos for all of the sessions that have been presented and get the content or the material that you actually need from that. And we can provide that link to anybody who needs it, or we'll provide it in the chat before we finish the session today. And so today is our last session, and it's building a financial legacy. We have the coalition's very own Vassiena, I'm sorry, do not kill me, Vassiena Adesanya. And she's going to be talking to us today about building a financial legacy. And so again, thank you guys all for joining us. Let's just get the most out of what she's coming to share with us today, and get your questions ready and be prepared. I'm gonna start. We actually have a survey that I wanted to share with you guys really quickly. We're gonna start really quickly with a survey. And I just posted it in the chat. So if you guys can click that and complete the survey, I'll give you guys a few minutes or a few seconds, I guess, to read over the survey. See, we have one more person joining us. Thank you for joining us, Kiosha. I just posted a chat in the chat room. I just posted a link for a survey that we were hoping you could complete before we get started.
Okay, will do.
Okay. So as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, actually, that our guest speaker today is Vassiena Adesanya. Vassiena is she's a member actually of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. Vassiena has built a 20-year corporate career successfully coaching teams to high performance, resulting in millions in revenue for major US financial institutions such as Fannie Mae, Citibank, and SunTrust Bank. Her current role is that of Vice President with City National Bank, where she leads a financial intelligence team. Aside from her corporate career, Vassiena's mission to empower African women to live a life without limits. Having trained under the internationally renowned motivational speaker Les Brown, Adesanya, dubbed the Self-Taught Guru, is also a dynamic speaker, coach, and author who teaches women how to create optimal results in their career, business, and relationships. Vassiena is a woman of deep faith, a devoted mother of 2 adult daughters and 1 fur baby. Yay. She is a movie buff, loves the outdoors, having recently taken up hiking, and enjoys intimate gatherings with close friends and family. I want you all to welcome Vassiena to our event this morning. And I do have to ask Vassiena, since we've all been somewhat on lockdown or quarantine because of COVID, you're a movie buff. If you have your #1 movie recommendation for the ladies today. I always have to ask people because I love movies too.
That's a good one. Am I on? Am I unmuted? Yes.
Yes.
I say my favorite is a classic, Color Purple. I can love that movie.
Excellent film.
That's a classic.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And hopefully at the end, if we have time, some of the ladies can share or post their favorite movies. I just like to ask because I'm always collecting or getting ideas from great women that actually have good information to share. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and the floor is yours.
Okay, and I'm going to share my screen.
Are you able to share?
So give me 2 seconds.
There you go.
Can everybody see my screen?
No, I'm trying to get you back again.
Okay, we'll give you a second.
Okay, let me see if I can get you back.
Because we have a few minutes together, so we can take a breather.
Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to bring the screen back up for some reason.
Loretta?
Not yet. I might have to go out and come back in because it's not letting me exit. Okay, hold on. I see you now. Let's see here. Trying to make your picture a little larger.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, I can see you, but I was trying to close chat, but it wouldn't let me close chat out. So anyway,
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna get rocking and rolling. So I am Vassiena Adesanya, a proud member of the Los Angeles chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. It's really my pleasure to share with you. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge our chapter president in her absence, Dr. Carmen Downs, and to the chairperson of our Economic Empowerment Committee, Dr. Monique Woodley, and to our hostess today, Juan Garcia. So good morning, ladies, and welcome to the 6th and final installment of our Economic Empowerment series. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you are familiar with the term generational wealth? I just lost everybody. I can't see you anymore. Hold on. I can't see you. Okay, so Loretta, I can see your hand. Why can I see everybody? Okay, great. Loretta, Shalon, good. Anybody else? Nicole, Tammy, you familiar with the term generational wealth? Okay, well, that's fine. So you may not have heard it, or if you have heard generational wealth, you may have thought, wow, that sounds important. I'd like to leave generational wealth for my family. Or perhaps you're like me and you thought, I wish I had been the generational wealth so I don't have to work anymore. No matter what your thoughts about generational wealth were, you may have just pushed it into the back of your mind because you have more pressing issues. For instance, you might be focused on getting out of debt, saving money, or pursuing other financial goals. It may be that creating generational wealth is not on your immediate priority list while you tackle your current finances. And I get it because life is. But with that being said, myself, along with the ladies of the 100 Coalition of our LA chapter, want to remind you that you can build generational wealth and you can start right where you are. You don't have to have goo gobs of money to get started. You just have to get started. So generational wealth, just to kind of give you an idea of what it is, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's wealth that is passed down from one generation to the next. You may also hear this called family wealth or legacy wealth. It's, if you're able to leave something behind for your children or your grandchildren, then you're contributing to the growth of generational wealth in your family. Of course, everyone would love to be the recipient of generational wealth. Unfortunately, for my family, I was not the recipient. I plan to be the contributor towards generational wealth. Now, you can also leave many things. You can leave good memories, awesome recipes, healthy genetics, an appreciation of the arts, music, theater, or even a mindset of educational excellence. You can leave all of this behind for your family. However, for today, I am specifically referring to the financial resources that you're able to leave behind. And this wealth can come in many forms, such as real estate assets, and we'll talk about that, stock market investments, we're going to talk about that, or a financial education that you pass along to the next generation so they can carry that into the future. And we're going to talk about that as well. But before we really get into the discussion on generational wealth, we first have to understand the racial wealth gap. That is our dilemma, and it's real. There was a study conducted by, and I'm trying to move these slides as well. There was a study conducted by UCLA last year, and it showed that white households had in Los Angeles, this was specific to Los Angeles, had a median net worth of $355,000. So here they are right here on the graph. While African-American households were at $4,000. That's how much of a gap we have. That's a $349,000 gap in wealth just here in Los Angeles. And although this study was specific to Los Angeles, it's consistent nationwide. Annual reports released by the Federal Reserve show that over the last 32 years, since 1989, and some people on the call probably not even 32 years old yet, the top 1% of the world owns $41.5 trillion in wealth, while the bottom 50% lost $900 billion. And guess where the African-American community is? We're in that lower 50%. CNN has reported that African-Americans have a disproportionate negative net worth. So what do I mean by that? 3.5 million African-Americans have a negative net worth, and that represents approximately 19% of our families, while only 8% of white American households have a negative net worth. What do I mean by that? I mean that they have more expenses than they have income. And listen closely to this. There's an additional 4.13 million African-American households that have a net worth of less than $10,000. That's almost 25% of the Black households in America. So 1 out of every 4 American household that's represented has less than $10,000 in net worth. So that's our dilemma. So now you heard me mention the word net worth. What actually is net worth? Does anybody know what net worth is? Let me open the floor. Is anybody familiar with net worth, or how would you define net worth? You're free to unmute yourself, because I got to talk a long time, so please help me out. Don't make me talk the whole 90 minutes.
Well, hi, I'm Loretta. I kind of understand what network is because let me just say this much. when I first attended college, I had to take an accounting class. I didn't know what assets were or liability, anything. All I knew, my parents just knew assets were things you own and liabilities just bills you paid. And that's all we knew. But I know better. I know a lot more now, but I just wanted to say yes. That was my first encounter with understanding a little bit what assets and liabilities were.
Well, you spot on. You were spot on. And thank you for sharing. You were spot on. Your net worth is exactly that. It's how much you owe versus how much you own. Basically, it calculates how wealthy you are. So if you have a negative net worth, which we found out that 25% of African American households have, that means that we owe more than we own. So your net worth is very important for your retirement and also for creating generational wealth. And determining your target net worth is a critical piece of your overall wealth building strategy, as it will help you better understand how to reach your personal goals. Because if you know that you have a net worth of $5, and I'm just using that figure, then you know that you have $5 that you can use to build generational wealth or to invest, to bring in passive income for yourself. If you don't have any net worth, then you know that there's some inequity and we need to make some adjustments. So you need to know what you're working with, pretty much is what I'm saying. So keeping in mind that your net worth is very different from your income, because your income is essentially how much you earn from work. But remember, if you stop working, that income stops. Your net worth, on the other hand, doesn't have to change much, if any, if you aren't actively working. And this is where the fun piece begins, because you're going to learn that your net worth helps you to make money without working for it. And it is possible. All right, so your net worth is determined, just like Loretta said. It is determined by your assets from your liabilities. How much do you own, subtracted by how much do you owe? Whatever is left over, ta-da, that is your net worth. So Loretta brought up a great next point. What is an asset? Does anyone know what an asset is? Because we talk about your assets, your liabilities. Does anyone know what an asset is, or an example of an asset?
Property.
Okay. Okay. Alverdette?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna. So yeah, I was gonna say property, anything that you own, your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, those would be assets.
Awesome. 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 I'm glad nobody said car, because it kind of is, but it kind of isn't, because they depreciate. So I don't know if it really is. I don't necessarily consider it an asset. But yes, an asset is, well, the most important thing about an asset is that it has monetary value. So an asset can include everything from the cash in your bank account to the cash hidden under the mattress, the cash you hide up in your freezer, the cash is buried in your backyard, or you keep it in your safe deposit box. And it can include value of your stock portfolio and the market value of anything tangible that you own. Anything tangible. Tangible is something you can touch, something you can hold, such as art, jewelry. These are all tangible things, and these are considered assets. Now, one note about assets, and this is why I include cars in that, is that assets, like stocks, they can fluctuate. So for instance, if your asset base is stocks, keep in mind that your actual net worth can vary depending on the value of the stock market. Also keep in mind certain types of assets depreciate over time, like cars, electronics, they depreciate as well. So you really want to look into appreciating assets such as property. So let's look at liabilities. Liabilities are expenses. I have two grown daughters, as you heard in my bio. And when they were, and they live on their own now, but when they were younger and they lived with us, I used to call them, I tease them. I teasingly call them my liabilities. Why? Because they were expense. Every time I turned around, they were taking money from me. So a liability is any time that you've got money going out of your pocket, anytime, any expense, that's considered a liability. So to build generational wealth, and if you want to take notes, fine. If you have a question, feel free to stop me. But to build generational wealth, we must first begin to operate with a positive net worth. And how do we do that? Well, we increase our assets, and then we want to decrease our liabilities. So you want to decrease your expenses. And I know that earlier, I believe maybe the first or second week, there was a session on budgeting. So it's very important that you know what your true expenses are, what's necessary, what's unnecessary, and begin to make adjustments so that you can increase your asset base, decrease your expense base, and start to operate in a positive net worth. So what do you think is the most, and I'm posing this question to the ladies, what do you think is the most important determinant of your ability to create generational wealth? What do you think is the most important factor to creating generational wealth? No wrong answer.
I'll read that again.
Okay.
I was just going to suggest a mindset. I think for me personally, is just having to determine within my mind that I'm going to do this and stick with it. I don't know about anybody else.
Spot on. Anybody else?
Increase your educational knowledge of how you can increase your asset, how to deal with, I know this is kind of off the subject a little bit, discriminatory limitations for building your assets.
Okay. That's a hot topic. Anyone else? Thank you, Alvredette and Loretta, for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, well, Lorette, you're spot on. Alvredette, that was my answer. That's exactly correct. Now, Les Brown is the world's top motivational speaker. And if you're not familiar with him, you've never heard him, go out there, Google him, get on YouTube. The man will change your life. He will have you walking on water. But I remember him saying that the easiest thing he ever did was to make $1 million. And I thought, how is that easy? But he said, in direct contrast, the hardest thing he ever did was to believe that he could do it. So the most important factor in your ability to create generational wealth is what I call ID. And ID is your internal dialogue. An internal dialogue is the thoughts that you have about yourself. Thoughts are what conversations that you have in your head. So what dialogue do you have with yourself about money? What do you think about money? What's your mindset about money? Do you believe that you deserve generational wealth? Do you believe that you can create it for your family? Are you in a cycle of poverty? What is your thought when it comes to truly creating generational wealth? Oh, sorry about that. Okay. So now we're looking at 4 people here, and they are all billionaires. They're all self-created billionaires. Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, and then just this gentleman here, David Stewart. Because he's not a celebrity, we may not be familiar with him, but he built his fortune running an IT service provider for companies like Citibank, Verizon, and the federal government. So what do they all have in common? They all created generational wealth in their lifetime. None of them started out with a silver spoon in their mouth. They believed it and they created it. And if you listen to any of their interviews or speeches, each one will tell you they believed it first and then they created it. You will create generational wealth in your mind before you ever turn a dollar. So that is your basis. That is your foundation right there. It has to be created in your mind before you ever create it for your family. So the first pillar to creating generational wealth is your money story. For every person who is successfully creating generational wealth, there are thousands who never will. Now, if you're dreaming of having a business that runs itself, if you're dreaming of retiring early, if you're dreaming of having your money work for you and not you work for your money, that's me, so that you can spend more time with your family or doing what you love to do, you're not alone. And I'm going to share with you some practical steps that are going to help you get to that next level. Why do some people achieve their financial goals and dreams and others don't? Well, it's like that old cliche about the donkey and the carrot on the stick. Anybody heard the donkey and the carrot on the stick? The man holds a long stick over the donkey's head with this nice fresh carrot dangling from the end on a string. And what does the donkey do? The donkey just chases that carrot. But of course, no matter how fast the donkey runs, the carrot is always just there, eternally out of reach. The donkey sees the fact that the carrot always goes exactly the same pace, but because it's a donkey, it doesn't get it, right? So we may shake our heads at the donkey, but the joke is on us because we tend to chase the carrot too. And it's surprising that for us to be an intelligent species, we develop sorts of blind spots so that we never get any closer to grabbing our own carrot and eating them. So what is it that we're not seeing? What is it that keeps us chasing the carrot, sometimes half-heartedly? Because in our secret selves, and if you're honest with yourself, in your secret self, when you're alone with yourself, we truly don't believe that we can have that. We believe that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, that is always going to be denied to us. Oh, I'm not Oprah. I can't be a talk show host. I can't create TV shows and plays like Tyler Perry. I don't know anything about IT. And then it's even doubly so because of the history of African Americans. Because like Loretta was saying, systemic racism has locked us out of a lot of things and has beat us down so much that it shakes the very core of our self-esteem on a daily basis. Microaggressions, we deal with it every day. So I don't care how much you tell yourself in the mirror, okay, Vassiena, I'm the shit, excuse me. You get out there, you get into the work world, somebody's got something to say. Then knock you down as soon as you step out the front door. So it's the money stories specific to creating generational wealth that we've created for ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy to reframe them. I'm saying that I understand why we have them. And it's the best way to cure something is to be aware that you have the issue. So we need to know that some of it is self-taught and other is societal. So we're battling two demons. So when we look at the money stories that we've created for ourselves, the one that has followed us into our adult and professional life, the one that sabotages us financially, that's what we have to focus on. And we all have stories that we repeat to ourselves and to everyone else. These are stories, and it's more than just a recitation of facts. They're more self-fulfilling prophecies because we create them to hide from things we fear and the things we feel we failed to achieve. But here's the important thing about stories. They're not always true. But the more we repeat them, the stronger they become until we end up trapped by the stories. Having a negative or inadequate money mindset is a common trait in the African American society. We know that. And for women, just for women in general. So we have that double whammy, thanks to societal and familial conditioning. What we're going to do now is to find your money story. And then we're going to help you reset it so you can change hidden self-defeating habits and claim your financial power. So when you can tell yourself a powerful, true new story, you can believe that story. And that's when the magic will start to happen. So what is your money story? I have a quiz that is in the chat. And can you guys access that quiz? I want to take a few minutes and let you take the quiz. It's going to take maybe 5 minutes, just so you can see what your money story is. Can everybody see it in the chat?
No, I don't see it yet.
Okay, it may be up in the top because I know we put it in the chat before we started this session.
I'm sorry, I see it.
Okay. If you can access it, I'm going to give you about 5 or 10 minutes to take it. And you may be surprised at what your money story truly is.
I'm having problems trying to get into it.
You can't open it?
Yeah, I tried a couple of times too, and same thing. Do you have can the link be put? I'm wondering,
I wonder if I can.
it's gonna
Where
be,
else could
can you open it on the screen so we can see the questions, or do we have to open up the actual
Oh,
file?
yeah. Here, let me try that. Hold
Yeah, like maybe, like, I don't know if it's gonna compute something at the end of the questionnaire or,
on. No, because actually I have the answer key to it too. Hold on.
okay, good. So maybe you guys can take a picture of the screenshot with your phone or something and answer the questions.
Great
Uh,
idea.
Yeah, thank you. And then if there's people that were able to access it, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you. I was slow in clicking the link, so I should have clicked it earlier to tell you that. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Is it not opening? Try clicking it. Okay, you should be able to see that. Can you see
That looks
that?
good. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
So I'm assuming, Asenya, that it's good for us to, or Vassiena, for us to actually like total how many A, B, and C's we have because you're going somewhere, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Sorry. I'm having a little problem reading. It's pretty small.
Okay, hold on, let's
I
see.
took a picture of it, but that's
that-
much better. Thank you.
Okay. And then let me know, I'll scroll down because there's a little more down here at the bottom.
Slow down a little bit to read them.
Okay.
Okay.
Nicole, Tammy, and Alverdette, you okay? The ladies are quiet.
Yes, thanks for opening it up. I'll just wait for you to scroll.
Okay.
Okay.
Who is it?
Okay, can I scroll down some? Is that too small still?
I think that works. It's good. Yeah.
That's good, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes and I think we can move on. Okay, so once you're done, as Shalon mentioned, just total the number in each column. And then I will pull up the results. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the results came over here. Okay, so here are the results. Did everyone have a chance to total their responses?
Yes.
Okay. I think that is- Okay, so if you have more answers in column 1, then you have the money is evil story. And with that, you experience a lot of guilt about being wealthy. You don't want to be greedy. You don't want to be seen as greedy. You may not feel worthy to take your place among the wealthy. And you may also be secretly afraid you can't handle wealth, that it may corrupt you in some type of way. A lot of times, especially in the African-American community, if you grew up in the church, money is evil. And that's where that mindset comes from. You may, if you had more responses in column B, then you had the doomed money story. And with that, you may have had a childhood in which you were actually poor, or your parents constantly told you you were poor. You heard statements such as money trees. You didn't go on school trips or do activities other kids did because your parents couldn't afford it. Or your parents may have done any of the following things: borrowed money without thought of paying it back, complained that others had more than they did, had a glass half empty mindset, or they were always in debt, thought about money. That would be column B, that's the doom money story. Or in column C, if you have more responses in column C, the I can't hang on to money story. With that, you are making money, but you wish you had more free time or could afford more luxury. And that is typically in that career builder stage where you want to work 50 hours a day to prove your worth. You feel slightly guilty when you spend on something you really want, but when you short your budget, out doing it. You're good at manifesting just enough cash to solve individual problems, but there's rarely any left over. You do manage to manifest small miracles. For example, a friend gives you a gift certificate to your favorite restaurant, but you secretly can't imagine yourself being up there with the rich and famous. You have dreams, but your mantra is truly someday. Okay. So I hope that by sharing that with everyone, that gave you an idea, an indication, gave you some awareness of, okay, of what your money story is. So to move on, your money story grows out of more than just your past experiences. I hope I'm not losing my connection. Okay. Grows out of more than just your past experiences. It comes from events and people who are the most dominant in your life, as we saw in A and B, definitely in B. Plus particularly traumatic or repetitive events. A trauma event such as the sudden death of a parent can instantly reshape your family's money story. A good friend of mine her father passed when she was, I believe Tanine was 8 at the time, and there were about 6 of them in the family. Well, their dad he was a sole breadwinner, and they went from living in a house to living in the projects overnight. So that money story can reshape your entire family, and it ultimately becomes your money story. But so can small repetitive happenings like, water just dripping on a stone, and over time, it wears a channel or groove into that stone. And there's almost a parallel with the post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Everyone knows that a catastrophe, such as being caught in a devastating earthquake, can cause lasting PTSD in survivors, particularly if one sees other people die. But when many people what many people don't know is that people can develop PTSD that is just as deep, just as serious over small negative events that go on for years and years. And that's based on that repetitive, cumulative effect. It's like an old vinyl record where the needle wears a deep groove into one particular spot. So that tune always skips and repeats. It skips and repeats over and over and over again every time. It's like children cutting across your corner lot on your lawn on their way to school. And pretty soon they've worn a deep ribbon of bare earth onto your pathway. And now no grass grows there. It's trampled down before it barely breaks ground. That's the power of repeated patterns. And that's all your money story is. It's just a pattern that's deeply grooved in your subconscious as well as in your conscious mind. And experts agree that you can inherit your PTSD. So as a child, you can often develop what they consider like secondhand smoke. It's secondhand PTSD because you may have lived in a household where everybody was on high alert all the time. You never knew what would trigger one of your parents. You never knew when maybe your dad would come home saying, I had the money, or the lights were off, or the water wasn't running. And from watching that parent treat every small, everyday thing in life as if it was life-threatening, that makes you fearful and makes you more sensitive to secondary PTSD. So you inherit money stories as well. So what you're picking up on these secondary money stories from your parents and other significant adults in your life, you now as an adult have to rewire that. But I want you to be aware of where that comes from. The truth is, when we're talking about money, is that money can create freedom. Money gives you options. You're free to help. You're free to quit your job and just enjoy your life. But instead of giving out of guilt, it is much more effective when we're able to give out of empowerment, to renew the well so that the more we give, the more we receive, because it's a reciprocal effect. The more you give, the more you receive. And that's just a spiritual law. So the tighter that we hold on to our fears, the more we're closed off from receiving what's out there for us. The more we cling to that guilt, whether it's conscious or subconscious, but after today, you're more aware of things and you can be alert to them going forward. The more that we hold tight, the less that can get in. So if you want to create a strong, positive financial story, you want to start by recreating a new story for you. And it doesn't really matter what type of negative money story yours is. If it leaves you feeling fearful and disempowered, it's a money story that needs to be changed. You may have heard repeated phrases in your family, and that can give you a big clue to your money story. So be on alert for them. Be on alert for what you may have unwittingly passed down to your children already as far as a negative money story. And let's try to move that forward. Let's move that needle forward, okay? There's one other thing that I want to bring to your attention about the money story is you can be doing everything right and still possess a deep-seated belief that money is evil or unspiritual, or that your family is cursed in some type of way. And that type of pessimism will cause you to not believe in your ability to generate a great income. And as a result, you won't persevere. You'll give up too soon. Have you ever met someone who was highly educated, had a great job, and they were still in debt all the time? It's that money mindset. That type of pessimism will cause you to give up at the first hint of adversity. Oh, I should have never tried to start this business. Who am I fooling? I can't do this. Let me go back over here and flip fries at McDonald's. No, that's that pessimism. That type of pessimism will cause you to team up with high-risk people, with negative people, or people who take advantage of you just so that you can have a self-fulfilling prophecy. See, I told you, you'll go and work for a job where you know that you are not valued and allow the people to beat you down because that fulfills that story that you have. That type of pessimism will cause you to marry beneath yourself, will cause you to marry a man who spends all his money and all you have is what you have. That type of pessimism will cause you to literally give away your time, your wisdom, and your experience for pennies. That type of pessimism for you ladies that are entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs will cause you to be afraid to charge your worth. You want to get into the market by cutting your prices. Everybody else charging $85, I'm going to charge $65. No, that's that pessimism. That pessimism will cause you to not ask for a raise, to not negotiate a higher salary, to just take whatever they throw your way and then be upset about it. That type of pessimism will allow you to be used and not be assertive. Be angry, but not be assertive. Be reactive, but not be assertive. That type of pessimism will slow you down, create all types of distractions that prohibit you from analyzing your situation to figure out what option you have. Because we don't take anything else away from this today other than mindset. Remember, you always have an option. Even when you think you don't, go to bed, sleep, get up and rethink it. There is always an option. If you don't believe it, look at Trump. How did he survive? Because there was always an option somewhere, but you always have an option. The only time you're out of options is when your heart stops and you are no longer breathing. Other than that, you always have options. What you have to do is focus, clear your mind, and think through the situation. Take the emotion out. You're going to have the emotion. So that's why I say go to bed and wake up. Have the emotion, call your girlfriends, call your mom, whoever you need to cry, carry on, do whatever you want to do. Let the day pass and then come back, regroup, and think about it again. All right? So didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but wanted to share that. And I'm sharing it because that's me.
Good. No, we need to hear this, Vassiena. You're doing a great job. I love it.
All right, terrific. So anybody have any questions?
Actually, can you give me is that the end of your PowerPoint, Vassiena? Because I
Oh,
can.
no. You want
Okay.
me to let you share?
Oh, no. I'm gonna let you keep your presentation up. We got questions. So we'll go with
Okay.
Al Verdette has a question. Go for it.
I do. You mentioned a motivational speaker that you're supposed to pay attention to, but I didn't catch the name.
Oh, Les Brown.
Les Brown, thank you.
Yes.
And I wanna comment on what you said, Vassiena. I have a comment and a question. A lot of the times I think, because I have a passion for financial literacy in the Black community, a lot of the times we allow, Vassiena is talking to you guys about mindset. We allow TV, music, social media, a lot of things like subliminal messages, all of that is taking up time and sending out programming where you feel like you have to buy or see, or it's to create a sense of dissatisfaction with what you have. So you're always wanting to go out and spend money and not have. And so Vassiena talking about mindset is really important. It's really important to kind of protect what you allow in so that you're able to make different choices. And so Vassiena, my question for you, because I had to fight my way through the same thing you're preaching on. What's your advice to the ladies on how they actually, you mentioned education, you mentioned a couple other things. How do they get the discipline to like stay in this mindset? Like, what are the things that you did to get your mindset there?
One thing was I listened to motivational speakers and I literally looked myself in the mirror. Okay. If you remember in my bio, I'm the self-talk guru. I learned how to talk to myself. And this is the truth. I learned to change the language that I used when I was talking to myself. And I'll share this with you. At the turn of the century, I love to say turn of the century, I was broke. When I say broke, I mean I was broke, flat broke. I was living in a little rundown apartment and I got a degree. So I'm telling you, mindset. I have a degree in accounting. I've been working in banking. Why am I broke? Okay, mindset. I was broke. I had 2 daughters. They were small at the time. And I was sitting there with this eviction notice using bootleg cable. But this is the thing. At that time, I kept saying, God, I don't know how much more I could take.
Mhm.
And I kept getting more dumped on me. And this was the night before that I was going to get evicted. So I said, God, I can't take no more. This is it. I've hit the bottom. I'm not going no further than this. You need to show yourself to me, and you need to make my ends meet, and they need to wrap around.
That's good.
I kid you not. 2 weeks later, I had an opportunity come my way. Within a month, I was earning 5 figures. They flew me to Boston, put me up for 10 months with a car and a place to stay. So I changed my conversation. My conversation went from victim, how much more can I take, to I ain't taking this no more. Come on, God. You're supposed to be on my side. Make it work. Make it work. And I'm not saying that I was being demanding to God, but I was saying, show me the way out, fix it, because I don't want to be a victim anymore. So I literally changed my conversation. I changed the conversation that I have myself. And I had a why. The why was my daughters. Because they were looking up to me. I said, oh my God, these little knuckleheads, they don't even know I'm a big failure here. That's what I'm thinking, And they're, children, mommy can do no wrong.
Right.
And truthfully, had it not been for them, I probably would not have turned around. So thank God I had them. But I changed my conversation. You got to change your conversation. You got to change your affiliations, because some of those people that were living in that apartment are still there. You have to change your circle, and you have to change your conversation, and you got to do it every day. You're going to fall off the bandwagon. Yes, get back up and get back on. And when you make a decision, stick with that decision, commit to that decision. I made a decision. I was not living like that ever again.
Good.
I have not. Have I had struggles? Yes, I haven't gone back there again. So that's the key. It's that internal conversation. Definitely be spiritual, because it wasn't all me, but it's that conversation, and you've got to stick with your intention, stick with your commitment, no matter what, come hell or high water, and you will get through it. Because if that's where you see yourself, that's what you're going to create for yourself. I'm sorry, I mean to go on.
No, don't apologize. I'm actually over here smiling. We have similar testimonies. First, I want to say that's excellent. And second, I'm inspired. I saw Alverdette sent you she sent you a virtual bouquet while you were talking.
Hug.
Yeah, she said, so I was gonna say something that you said that was key. Definitely faith-based. I could relate to that. So hopefully we're not saying anything that is new to anybody. But something you said in there that I think is key when you're talking about legacy, and we're talking about our children. I went through something similar about what you're describing. And the biggest thing I pulled out first was that you changed your mind. You made a decision that you were done. And I think that's a key thing for anybody on this call, is waking up and saying, you're done. You're not looking back, and you're going to move forward, and you're making a decision that you're going to change. And you're not going back, is what I heard Vassiena share. The other thing I wanted to say that you mentioned lightly in your story, but it was a big thing in my personal story, is you talked about your children. What's your advice to the women in the group that have children, and how finances are handled? And I don't know if that's coming up. If it is, you can defer me till later. But I'm curious. Yeah, if you want to share what the conversation should look like, or how much you bring your children into those conversations while you're building that legacy. I have my own story, but I want to hear you share with the women advice that you have for all of them today.
I am very transparent. I'm extremely transparent with my children. And one of the things that I always said to them is, don't do what mommy did. Be better. Please don't make my mistakes. But when it comes to it, and when it came to training them on money, I literally sat down and let them understand how to budget. We sat down and we budgeted together. Even if I gave them $5, I'd say, okay, you've got $5. How are you going to spend it? It's up to you. I let them spend it however they wanted to. And when we come back, we would regroup. So I have one daughter that's extremely practical. She's so practical, she won't spend a penny. But if I gave her $5, she would spend 95 cents. The other one, you give her $5, she's asking to borrow money from her other sister. So we literally sat down and went over the principles from the beginning. You have to have more in your hand than's going out. And you start children with the basics. Even if you give them a small allowance, you say, oh, okay, I can give them $100 or $200 and only $5 or $20. You have to start there. And that's what I started with. I started giving them money. I let them go out and earn their own money, and I allowed them to fall down, and we came back and we regrouped. And I'm saying that because I have, like I said, I have two and they're at opposite ends of the spectrum. One, she must be sitting on $5 million because she won't spend a penny. The other one, like I said, she gets $5, she spends $6, but we have worked with her and she's a lot better than she used to be. So to answer your question is I allowed them to see me pay bills. I didn't necessarily let them know what my income was, but I said, okay, well, we got X amount here and these are the bills. What do you think I should do? Do you think we need to go to the movies tonight? Or maybe should we stay in? Because if we do, this will be the results. So I taught them discipline. I taught them sacrifice from the beginning, because that's, as Shalon said, that is what it takes. It takes discipline and it's not necessarily sacrifice, but it's, as Shalon said, you've got to turn off all that social media and all the distractions from the idiot box. And you got to focus on what your goal is. Something my dad used to always tell me, he used to get mad at me watching TV. He said, you're sitting here watching somebody else make money. And it's true. The people who watch on TV, they're millionaires, multi-millionaires. And we're sitting there looking at them, can't rub two pennies together. So you have to stay focused on your goal, not what the Joneses are doing, not what the Johnsons are doing, not what the Smiths are doing. And that's what I've done with them. I literally took them through the steps with me. They saw me fall, they saw me get back up. They've seen me make decisions for and against things, even if I could afford it. I said, no, we're not gonna buy this because you never know. You wanna always have a cushion. So I hope that answered your question.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
Loretta. I understand the mindset in which you're trying to do that, but how do you kind of overcome or meet people who can help you get out that survival mindset as opposed to wealth mindset? I know you say Les Brown, and I know you mentioned God, which is always first with me. But just to keep yourself above water, where you can't see yourself getting above water to get to the point where you have the mindset for wealth.
okay, that's a really good question. All right, so your question is, how do you change your environment? Is that what you're asking me?
I think what she's asking Vassiena is, how do you get out of the survival mindset, which I think a lot of our community is in. It's that, like, maybe living from paycheck to paycheck, or just striving to say, I hope nothing happens, or if something does,
Okay.
we're a bust.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good question. Okay, so what you have to do is and I did it too, you have to retrain your brain. Just like you would train your body, you worked out if you were an athlete, you have to retrain your brain. Your brain is a muscle that you have the power to control. It does not control you, you can control it. And you have to make a conscious decision to do that. The beginning is we took the quiz. So now you're aware of some of your money stories. And that's surface level, but that's a surface money story. So you can be aware when you start that conversation in your head. And when you hear it, you literally, and it's you got to do the work. You literally have to say, hey, Loretta, cut it out. This is not who I am. This is where I'm going. You have to literally stop that conversation. You have to reframe it. And for instance, let's say you're thinking, because we're in the class now. Another thing, continue to come to classes like this. But you're in this class, you've been here for 6 weeks, you're feeling good with us today because we're all vibing together, we're on the same wavelength. And 10 o'clock tonight, you're thinking, that was crazy. I don't know what that Vassiena lady was talking about. Shalon, she crazy too. There's no way. What they putting up Oprah? I'm not Oprah. That's the negative statement. You got to realize, hey, I'm going there. Stop. I'm going there. Give yourself a chance. Now, don't beat yourself up, because that's human nature. Yeah. Because you're learning a new skill. So because you're learning a new skill, you're going to default to the old you. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Realize what you're doing. So, okay, I'm scared. I'm going back to my comfort zone. Stop. Give yourself 5 minutes to feel that way. Stop it. And then ask yourself this: why can't I? How come I can't? Ask yourself that. After you stressed out about, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm crazy. No. Then say, well, why? What's the difference between, seriously, what is the difference between you and Oprah Winfrey? She's a woman just like you are, right? She puts her panties on one leg at a time. She excretes just like you are. She eats just like you do. She got weight issues just like I do. What's the difference? The difference is she made a decision and she did it. She had those same conversations. She came from what's backwoods Tennessee. And look where she is now. Make that decision. What does she do? Why can't I? I can't because I'm being fearful. I can't because I'm letting old patterns come into my thought and dominate me. And then reframe it to, I deserve this for myself. My money can grow. It may not be tomorrow, but my money can grow. Warren Buffett ain't got nothing on me. Tyler Perry used to live in a car. Now he owns half Atlanta. And he didn't grow up in a great situation. So you've got to just stop the stories. You reframe them, you retrain that brain. You begin to think, I can't. Allow yourself a few minutes to feel that way. Don't beat yourself up on it. And then, why can't I? And when you ask, why can't I, or how can I, you'd be surprised how the world will start sending things your way. Have you ever decided you're going to buy a certain car? You say, oh, I really like that car. And all of a sudden, every time you're out, you see that car, you see that same car, you see that same car, because your mind is attracting it. Your mind is helping you to find a way to bring that to you. It's the law of attraction. If you put it out there, I can do this. I can do this. Believe you, trust me in this. It will begin to happen. You will begin to hear something. You'll begin to see something. You'll be listening on the radio and they'll say something. Oh, there's an investment class coming up this weekend. It's for free. Now, you know they might be trying to sell you something, but still go get the free piece and see what you can learn. But you're attracting it to you, and keep going that path and keep your thoughts to yourself. Because if you're in a certain situation, the people around you in that situation too, they don't want to hear that you're trying to get out. They're going to do everything they can to throw darts at that. Keep that to yourself. Tune into people who are there. Find people who are where you want to be. If you have to go on YouTube, they're out there. And just constantly refocus. Stop it. Distract your old thought. Refocus on the new thought. That's how you do it. It takes time, Loretta. It takes time. Alverdette, Tammy, Monique, Vassiena. It takes time, but you can get there.
Thank you. That was great. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm a little
Good,
chatty.
Vassiena. Thank you. We like it. She's also a motivational coach, you guys. You know that, right? Getting amped over here. So you can, if you want to move on to the next part of your presentation.
Okay.
Oh wait, we have some folks with
Actually,
their hands raised. So Alverdette did not get to ask her question.
Yes.
Do we have time to squeeze her question in right now, if it's okay, before we move on? Because I do want to give her a chance.
Of course.
Thank you.
I'm here for Alverdette and everyone else.
Go for it, Alverdette. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciated you sharing that. You know, you mentioned the word about pessimism, and so I just started a business, and it is hard because I didn't take business school. So when you said, why did I even do this? Why did I even try? That's kind of like where I am. And I don't know, maybe where do I go? Who do I go to kind of help me with the financial aspect of this whole thing? I'm feeling kind of excited and motivated through hearing the conversation, and that other voice inside of me saying, can you do it?
Yes, you can. Think of Obama. Yes, we can. Don't beat yourself up, because that's normal. I'm going to point you in direction. You want to go to the Hope Foundation. That's founded by John Bryant.
It's John Hope Bryant. He's actually from Compton.
Thank you. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah. He lives in DC. I think he lives in DC or Atlanta now. No, Chicago. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an excellellent resource. They
Yeah.
have mentors there that will work with you. I believe most of the programs are free. SCORE is out there, SCORE. They're retired entrepreneurs, white entrepreneurs. So we know they know what they're doing, right? And their job is to help you. They'll help you write your business plan. They will put you in contact with other entrepreneurs who are at your level and above, because you need somebody who's down in the trenches with you. You need someone who's already gotten past the level that you're at. So this will help you. And to Lorette, this is helping you to broaden your horizon and to shift your environment. So I would start with those two, definitely. I would go, if you don't want to buy the books, I go to the library, I go to Audible. I would download every book that I could on entrepreneurship. What type of business do you have, Alverdette?
I so I went back to school and I got my
Okay.
degree, I got my master's, and I'm a therapist.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And so I just started my private practice, got my licensure, and so I'm just like, okay, we can do this. Everybody else is doing it. You can do it too.
Yes, you
But
can.
yeah, and there's the but, and then the but shows up.
Okay. Get your butt out the way.
It's
Tell
true.
butt to get out the way. Alverdette, you are in a great field because if COVID hasn't done anything else for the United States, it has brought to light that we have a lot of mental issues. And there's nothing wrong with that because just as you have physical issues, we have mental issues and they need to be addressed. And people are embracing, and even the African American community finally is embracing therapy and counseling. And I've seen TV shows where Black men were crying, I need to go to a therapist. And I know when my husband and I were having issues back in the 1990s, he wasn't going to anything. You, something wrong with you. Now we're embracing it. There's been a shift, is what I'm saying. So you are in a good place right now. You can go on social media, you can go on TikTok, you can go on Instagram and just do some snippets so people know that you're out there. Give some information about, I don't know, maybe the mental health tip of the day, something like that, just to get your name out there. And you'll be surprised how you will begin to attract people. I know I need some therapy because coaching and therapy are two different things. So get it out there, get your name out there, get on social media. And that's very inexpensive. You can just open a Facebook page or Instagram page and start talking. You'd be surprised how many people will be attracted to you because there are people, and I know that I'm a PK, so I talk spirituality. God has assigned some people for you. I believe everybody's here today. We were supposed to be here today. I don't believe in any coincidences. And Alverdette, there are people out there that are waiting for your voice. Put it out there, and they're going to come in droves. They're going to come in droves. And as a therapist, you probably already know this. Yes, you're going to hear the but. Allow the but to be there. Give yourself a few minutes, and then knock it out the way. Reframe that. But I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm fearful. I get it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. You know, when I was in college, and this is the truth, when I first saw that curriculum, I was like, oh my God, how many credits I got to take to graduate? I'm never going to graduate. Oh my goodness. And then he was my boyfriend at the time, but he became my husband. He's like, well, you don't have to take all the courses at once. So what we would do is every year we go to graduation and we watch the people walk across the stage like, okay, in 3 years, that's us. In 2 years, that's us. Next year, that's us. And finally, it was us. So you got to see it and just constantly remind yourself. So go out there and see other therapists that are out there doing it and realize they started where you started. It's a process, and Alverdette is going to be out there as well. Okay, but definitely try Hope, Operation Hope, and try SCORE. And you know, business funding is easier to get, and that we'll talk about OPM. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but that's okay. We'll talk about it. OPM, other people's money. That's a great tool to use for creating generational wealth. You don't want to always use your own money. And one of the easiest ways to get access to cash and to capital is when you have a business and you develop business credit for that business. And the business credit doesn't have anything to do with your credit score. And I'm talking person used to have 496, and I was just trying to get 500. So you don't need to have good credit to have business credit. So if you've already got a business, begin to establish business credit, and you can leverage someone else's money to get where you need to go. That's a great tool for anybody. All right, so I want to skip to a couple things. So we already talked about break free. This is great. Wait, am I missing any other questions? I don't want to.
Yeah, Sherry had her hand up. And Alverdette, I was just going to say, check out the resources in the chat for your new business, and refer back to Vassenia's earlier comments about keeping some things to yourself. I'll share my testimony hopefully later. Started my business in my 20s. I'm in my 50s now, and I remember telling too many people, I'm way over 50, but anyway, telling too many people what my plans were. And unfortunately, I've gotten really good at how I run business now, but you have some family, you have some friends who just can't help themselves with not being happy or not wanting to support you. I love them. I'm not mad at them, but it goes back to the advice that Vassiena shared earlier, that you do have to keep, you got to move silently. I'm on Facebook and people are like, oh, you telling this and I'm not telling the real story. Like, they don't really know all of what's happening, because words are powerful. So I already have enough, enough work myself trying to talk myself up and stay strong for myself and my business, that I can't allow a friend, a family member, or an enemy to speak against something that God has put inside me. So I don't share my plans or what I'm doing or how my business is going. And so I appreciate Vassiena for saying that earlier, but Alverdette, anytime you need anything, I do feel like it's my God-given purpose to minister to people in business. You can always reach out to Vassiena, and I'm also here as a resource, or the coalition. If you're saying, hey, I need a resource, do not hesitate to send out an email to say, hey, I'm at this point in my business and wanted to know if you guys had information. And I'm thinking Vassiena is going to make her information available, so you can reach out to her for that as well. And I'll stop talking, but Sherry did have a question before we go on, so I'll let her go.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, this is Sherry. I've been really quiet throughout the whole, how you doing? Throughout
Welcome.
the whole course of your seminar. It may not be on the same subject. I'm 64, getting ready to turn 65. I've been on my job for 16 years and I haven't got a raise since 2014. I wanted to know, do you think at my age that it's too late to find another job? Because people tell me I don't look my age. I wanted to go, because I went to the head source to ask the man in charge, could I get a raise? He told me he got a slap on the hand from the CEO. So I was thinking, okay, since you guys are talking about mindsets, I'm thinking about, okay, even though I'm 64 and I could do retirement and get Social Security, but I'm not ready to do that. I want to work and get my retirement so I can keep my generational wealth going, because I just lost my parents last year and they did leave a little cushion.
All right.
Both my parents back to back. So I do want to keep the generational wealth going for my kids. But I wanted to know, do you think it's a good idea to get another job, just stay where you are, or do you think it's okay to do something else at the age at 64, 65?
Sherry, age and nothing but a number.
I was going to say, I'm whoever's throwing money in the right direction. I'm not going to chase it, but I'm just saying, I'm going to let you take that one, Vassiena, but I have real life experience with that as well.
Oh, no. I'm loving that this is interactive, because
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh my God, I got to talk for 90 minutes. Lord, I got this big old cup of water.
Yeah. No,
we really
yeah.
learn by sharing. So this is
Yeah,
great.
I was going to make a comment about that. And so I'm the VP of business development for a real estate development firm, mostly white males. And I think I'm the first Black person they've hired in 36 years. And what I found out from our president and CEO, just in the form of men, the way the men come and ask for their money, and the way the conversations go. I came from a banking background when I lived in Hawaii, where I was told you just kind of don't make waves, and especially like Black women, we just kind of like, we're just happy to be there and happy to have a job, happy to have a title. And
Exactly.
when I started, I'm just going to say this, when I started my job in Hawaii, I made $22,000 a year in 1992. That was my starting salary. And they were sending white boys to come and train under me in Hawaii that started at $100,000 a year with no degree. And I had to have a degree to get in the position that they wanted to have. And so fast forward to all these years later, what our president and CEO said is, hey, the only people that are going to get paid are the people that come and ask us. So pause on that, go back to the fact that you mentioned 64, you mentioned 16 years, none of that matters. You're there and you have a purpose and you're doing something that actually benefits them. Somebody's going to want to pay you some money to do exactly what you're doing for them. And so I would say, depending on what the profession is, I usually try to work with executive search firms, but if you feel like you're not in that space, start looking and putting your resume, pay the money to get your resume done, and start shopping it out there to find out who the competitors are, and let them know that you're interested in talking about making the transition. You got to trust the God. Oh, go for it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm in administration. and retail administration. And I've been looking on Indeed. If you put your resume out on Indeed or something like that, and then somebody from your company sees it, is that going to cause a problem, or what do you think about that?
I have more to say, but I don't want to take over. So Vassiena, I'll let you, do you want to respond, or are you okay with me?
No, you can respond to that. That's fine.
Okay, I'll say this. You do want to use wisdom in how you go out in your search. There's ways to do your search and keep your identity private while you're out actually searching. So if you see a posting, if it's retail administration, I don't know the example to use, but let's just say, you know, you want to go look at Target, or you want to look at Macy's or Nordstrom's, you can make a call to the HR directly and let them know that you're interested in a role with them or a job, and they have to keep your inquiry confidential. They cannot go back to your employer to share that. So you just have to use wisdom in how you actually move. But I'm not saying you should leave the job. I'm just saying going back to Vassenia's advice and not putting limits on your thinking. If you want change, making that decision. Your age has nothing to do with it. But I guess saying use wisdom, because I don't want you to lose any retirement money. So you'd also want to talk to a retirement professional or a certified financial planner to say, hey, you got 3 months left until you're 100% vested. That changes what this conversation looks like. And so I would say don't let it be because of your age or because of fear, but do your due diligence to vet out like all of the benefits in staying versus all the potential benefits in looking at another opportunity, and then make a decision to, you know, on if it's going to make sense for you to go forward. And I promise I'm gonna stop talking, because I could talk all of y'all into this table right now. So
No,
FYI,
this is great. This is
FYI,
great.
retirement you don't get your full retirement at 65. I'm gonna work until I'm 70 to get a full retirement.
Yep, that's correct.
Sherry, let me ask you this. Have you considered starting some type of business?
I used to have a business. I had a flower shop, full service flower shop. And because they started letting any and everybody start coming down to the flower market and buying stuff, it put a damper on my business. Because when you said somebody underbids you on your prices, that's what happened to me. So I ended up closing it. But I was self-employed with a full service flower shop.
Okay, because that's another option to you. And I believe you mentioned that you did inherit some wealth from your family, generational wealth. You may want to consider some type of investment opportunities to create passive income for yourself. But I'm not going to say leave the job, but I definitely would have my options open. And we are right now in the Great Resignation, and there are more jobs than there are people. There are tons of opportunity for you out there. One thing that I would caution you against is, well, you said you've been there 15 years, so that's enough, because I wouldn't put anything on my resume over 15 years, and I wouldn't necessarily put my year of graduation down. I might put that I have a degree or a high school diploma, but I wouldn't necessarily put the year. And I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. Okay, we're like hitting it. Oh, you're welcome. We're hitting like an hour and a half, and there's a couple more things I wanted to share with you guys. So I'm gonna run through them really, really quickly, and because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So you were asking about how do you reframe yourself. So the first thing you want to do, you want to make sure you set your intentions. So you want to write your vision, you want to make it plain, and you want to work your plan. So set your intention. Regina, Sherry, Shalon, Alvarette, Loretta, set that intention. We know that we may have some thoughts going through our minds. What are we going to do? We're going to allow them for a few minutes, and we're going to stop them, reframe, and move on. Set your intention, write that vision, make it plain, and work the vision. Don't just write it and tell everybody, work it. The next thing, your education, because what you don't know can cost you. Educate yourself, attend every financial literacy program that you can. Attend every course that you can about entrepreneurship. The more you invest in you, the more that you will learn. So you have some foundational pillars to creating generational wealth. And that's one, rewriting your money story. First, you need to know what it is. So we all now know what it is, rewrite it, believe that's possible, set your intention, and then you want to educate yourself. I'm gonna try to go through these really quickly because I do want to get. So wealth is determined by how you invest. and the dividends that you receive from your investments. So it's not based on, remember we talked about that earlier, it's not based on the income that you have now from your job because you stop working, no income. It's determined by the dividends or the earnings that you can get from your investments. All right. So that's what we want to do. And how do we do that? We create passive income. And although these are strategies, as we discussed earlier, the key piece is that mindset. Once you get the mindset, the strategies are easy. It's just like what Les Brown said. Once he believed it, the $1 million came. So I can run through these a little more quickly, but I really wanted to make sure we got the mindset piece. And I believe everyone's open to that and everybody heard that. And we're on one accord. So that's the most important piece. But you want to look at developing passive income. What happened to my screen? Okay, so you want to look at developing passive income. Something happened to my slides. That's okay. We'll go. I've got notes here, so hold on. So one way to create passive income will be, of course, to invest. So what type of investments do you want to look at? You want to look at investing in the stock market. I know we've all got busy schedules and the stock market sounds intimidating. I get it. But just to share some small ideas with you, you can start small. You can buy one share of one company. You literally can do that. For the price, less than the price of a weed, you can buy yourself a share of stock. And when you're looking at that, consider products and services that you buy. What do you use? Where do you eat? Are these entities traded on the stock market? Are they public traded? If they are, you can buy a share of that. Cosmetics, clothing, shoes, household products, automobiles, and then you want to look at an economic growth industry like the environment. We know the environment is big right now. Are there companies out there that are environmentally in the environmental industry? That's someplace you may want to invest. Now, you definitely want to seek out an advisor. But the good thing about investing in stocks is that there's a low barrier of entry, meaning it doesn't cost a lot to get into it. And there's a young man that I ran across on YouTube. His name is Wall Street Trapper. You may have heard him, you may not. He's on social media. He is an ex-convict turned investment guru. He took the 10 years that he was given a sentence for murder and used that to teach himself the stock market. He studied Warren Buffett for 10 years. So that's a prime example of recreating and reframing your mindset. This man's sitting in jail. And he used that time to educate himself. And now he speaks all over the world. He's got some awesome and non-intimidating training. A lot of it is free. And then of course he has a paid course as well, but that can be your entryway into stock investments. Invest in real estate. Real estate is an asset that appreciates. But what I want you to do, and take this away, write this one down. When we're looking at buying a home, that's typically the largest asset that anybody ever has. But in terms of creating generational wealth, you want to view ownership of real estate from a different perspective, not to live in it, but to own it as an investor. If you're not familiar with him, Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he suggests that you only buy real estate as an investment and use the profit from the investment to cover your living expenses. He went so far as to say, you live in an apartment, go buy a house and rent it out to someone and use that rental income to pay the rent on your apartment. Now that might sound strange to us, but that's what Donald Trump does. He doesn't live in the house. He lived in an apartment in Trump Towers because all of his investments were paying for that place. That's how the wealthy think. That's the difference. You want to have a house, have the biggest house on the block. So you go, oh, look how big my house is. No, you want to have an investment property that brings in income. One, it brings in income. And number two, there are tax benefits to it. If you own a home and the furnace breaks, you just got to pay for a furnace. That's it. But if it's an investment property and the furnace breaks, yes, you pay for the furnace, but it's a tax write-off. So you're saving money and you're earning money because it's an investment property. I have some friends, what they did was instead of buying a single family house, they bought a duplex and a triplex, and they lived in one unit and rented out the other units. So the rent from the other units covered their mortgage. Did their other friends laugh at them because they had the house with the big picket fence? Yeah, but guess who's millionaires now? So you have to focus on what your long-term goal is. So I just want to share that piece with you about owning real estate. Ooh, excuse me. And another thing that I wanted to share with you is to become an entrepreneur. Build a business that you can transfer to your children. Once you grow a business, that can be sold as an asset. Is it Alvredette? Who's the
Yes,
therapist? Alvredette?
yes.
Alvredette, you can sell your practice at some point. And that's an asset for your family that you can pass along. Think Hilton Hotel. The Hilton family owns that. Think Marriott. Jay Marriott and his wife started Marriott Hotels. Walmart, founded by Sam Walton. And Trump, well, we'll leave that one alone. Those are family names. They create generational wealth. So when you think business ownership, adopt a growth mindset and consider not just owning maybe one hair salon that you work in for 15 hours a day, but how can you franchise it? Don't just have the hair salon, buy the building that the hair salon sits in and rent it out. Purchase a franchise. Sherry, you may want to consider purchasing a franchise. You can have people working that for you. You're earning an income and you can buy other units. But just think in a growth, I want you to have the growth mindset, okay? I don't want to go much longer because I think I'm 2 minutes over. Does anyone have any questions, any concerns?
I think what you've shared today is excellent, Vassiena, and information that I wish that they had all told us when we were back in high school or when we were kids. But that's why we're doing this now, right? Is to bring the information to the community. You've shared some excellent information, so thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna, is it okay if I share my screen, Vassiena? Okay. I think you have to turn it back. There we go. Thank you so much. I'm gonna do this real quick and share. So I don't know if you guys can see my screen. Well, it's basically all the different ways you can get in touch with the coalition, National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Los Angeles chapter. Again, my name is Shalon Garcia. I'm a member of the Coalition of 100 Black Women, and I was your host today. Want to say thank you guys all again for participating in the last 6 weeks if you've been here, or participating today. We appreciate the feedback, and we're hopeful that this information will help change mindsets and generational wealth within your family. And like we mentioned earlier, if you have questions about your business or any of the things that Vassiena shared today, do not hesitate to reach out. Vassiena, do you have a public contact on internet or social media where people can follow you for more advice? Or
Facebook, Vassiena Adesanya. Let me type it in the chat.
Yes,
and
please. Thank you.
I have a website, Level Up Transformations.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll type it in here.
Okay, thank you. And I think that's all we have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I do see another one of our coalition sisters, Monique Bacon. Did you want to share anything? Are you good? You just came to hang out with us for a minute?
I'm good.
Okay, good.
I came to hang out with you all. Got some really good info. I'm so sorry I'm late. I stayed on the meeting too long. But thanks, Vassiena. I'm gonna be personally calling you, sister.
Yes,
And
yes,
you,
it was
Shalon.
excellent. No, thank you. It was excellent. I was going to mention again, you said you showed up a little late. For anybody else on the call, I want to give you a reminder. All the series for the entire 6 weeks you can find it at our YouTube channel. So you can go back and look at the videos on YouTube. And again, thank you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you for the next one. Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.